Everyone talks about stocks. Everyone talks about real estate. Everyone talks about crypto. But there's one investment almost nobody talks about, and yet it quietly outperforms them all. It doesn't appear on CNBC. It doesn't trend on Twitter. You won't hear your coworker bragging about it at lunch. And that's the problem. Because while the world chases hype, the real secret to lasting wealth stays hidden in plain sight. This investment doesn't crash in a bear market. It doesn't get stolen by inflation. It doesn't vanish overnight because of a bad CEO or a government ban. In fact, it's the only investment guaranteed to grow in value for the rest of your life. And the best part, you already own it. What is it? It's you. Your knowledge. Your skills. Your ability to adapt, solve problems, create value. The single greatest investment you can ever make is not in Bitcoin, not in stocks, not in property, but in yourself. Because here's the truth. Every fortune in history, every millionaire, every success story began with the same foundation. Someone who invested in their own growth before they ever invested in assets. This is the best investment nobody talks about. Think about this. A man spends years learning coding after work, teaching himself line by line, while his friends laugh and say he's wasting time. At first, his progress is invisible. No extra money, no instant reward. Just late nights, coffee, and persistence. But then it happens. He lands a better job. That job doubles his income. With that income, he buys stocks, invests in real estate, starts a side business. Within a decade, his wealth is multiplying. It wasn't luck. It wasn't timing the market. It was the skill he built when no one was watching. Now compare him to someone who never invested in themselves. Same starting point, same paycheck. But while the first man's skills opened doors, the second stayed stuck in the same job, the same income, the same frustration. The difference isn't intelligence. It's investment. One invested in himself, knowledge, skills, growth. The other invested only in comfort, nights out, distractions, things that lost value the moment he bought them. And this is why the best investment nobody talks about is you. Because markets rise and fall, but skills never expire. Knowledge never deflates. Self-growth compounds forever. Every other investment is temporary, but the one inside you pays dividends for life. Most people think of investing as chasing charts, numbers, and prices. But investing in yourself is different. It's not like planting seeds in a garden. It's more like forging steel in fire. At first, it's raw, unshaped, unimpressive. Just metal. But when it enters the fire, the books you read, the skills you practice, the failures you endure, it begins to transform. Hammer after hammer, strike after strike, it grows sharper, stronger, more valuable. And here's the twist. Unlike stocks or real estate, no one can steal it from you. A crash can wipe out your portfolio. Inflation can shrink your savings. But once you've forged yourself into something stronger, it's yours forever. The coder who builds his craft. The speaker who learns to communicate. The leader who masters resilience under pressure. All of them created assets far more powerful than numbers in a bank account, assets living inside them. Most people avoid the fire. They choose comfort over growth. They keep their steel soft, untouched, fragile. And then they wonder why the world bends them so easily. The best investment nobody talks about isn't a stock ticker or a property line. It's the fire you're willing to walk through, and the steel you become because of it. Meet Carla. She grew up in a small town, working long hours at a diner. Every paycheck was just enough to cover rent and groceries. To most people around her, that was life, survive the week, repeat. But Carla made a choice. Instead of buying a new phone or a nicer car, she scraped together every spare dollar and signed up for night classes in graphic design. It felt risky. Her friend said, "Why waste money on that? You'll never use it." Months turned into years. She studied after work, freelanced on weekends, failed more projects than she finished. But slowly, her skills sharpened. One day, a company noticed her portfolio and offered her a job that paid 3 times what she'd ever earned. From there, she didn't stop. She reinvested in herself, online courses, software, conferences. Each investment opened another door. Within a decade, Carla wasn't just surviving. She was running her own design studio, hiring others, and living a life her old coworkers couldn't imagine. What changed? Not luck. Not winning the lottery. Not even timing the market. Carla bet on the only asset guaranteed to grow: herself. While others spent their money on things that faded, she spent hers on skills that compounded. And those skills built a fortune no crash could erase. Now meet James. He started at the same diner as Carla. Same wage, same hours, same chance to choose. But James made a different decision. Every extra dollar went to instant comfort, new clothes, nights out, gadgets he didn't need. He told himself, "I deserve this. I work hard." And for a while it felt good. His friends envied the sneakers, the newest phone, the parties. But 10 years later, nothing had changed. He was still working long hours, still living paycheck to paycheck, still trapped. The clothes wore out, the gadgets became outdated, the nights out faded into memory. James had invested, but not in himself. He invested in things that lost value the moment he bought them. His comfort today cost him freedom tomorrow. Meanwhile, Carla, the one who risked short-term comfort for long-term growth, had transformed her life. The lesson is brutal. One person built assets that grew, the other consumed distractions that faded. Both spent money. Only one spent it wisely. And this is why the best investment nobody talks about is so powerful. Because while everyone else is chasing the next big stock tip or crypto coin, the real secret to wealth is happening quietly, every time you choose growth over comfort. The richest asset you can ever own isn't in your bank. It's in your brain. Here's how the cycle works. First, you invest in yourself, a skill, a certification, a craft. At the start, it feels small. Maybe it only gets you a better job, or a side hustle that brings in a few extra $100 a month. But then the magic begins. That extra income isn't just money, it's fuel. Fuel to pay down debt faster. Fuel to start investing in stocks, real estate, or even your own business. The skill creates income. The income creates assets. The assets create freedom. And here's the kicker. Once you build assets, they start paying you back: dividends, rent checks, business revenue. That's the moment when people finally point and say, "Wow, look at their passive income." But they miss the first step. They don't see the years of sharpening skills, building confidence, and creating opportunities. They only see the end result. It's like watching a rocket launch. Everyone stares at the moment it breaks through the atmosphere. No one sees the years of design, testing, and failure that made it possible. Every fortune works the same way. It starts with someone who invested in themselves before anything else. The best-kept secret in wealth isn't a stock pick or a crypto coin. It's the person you become, because that person is the one who makes every other investment possible. So why don't more people do it? Why don't they take a class, learn a new skill, start a side hustle, or read the books that could change their future? Because investing in yourself feels risky. It costs money, and there's no instant return. It costs time, nights, weekends, energy after long days of work. And it carries doubt. What if this doesn't work? What if I'm not smart enough? What if I waste it all? So instead, people choose the safer path. Spend on comfort. Spend on entertainment. Spend on things that give quick pleasure. A new TV feels good immediately. A course in coding feels uncertain. A night out feels exciting. Reading a book feels boring. And that's how the trap closes. Comfort today replaces freedom tomorrow. The truth: fear of wasting money is exactly what guarantees you'll waste your life. Because every dollar you refuse to invest in yourself goes instead to things that vanish: gadgets, clothes, nights you barely remember. Meanwhile, those who take the risk, who endure the discomfort of growth, end up with something no one can ever take: a stronger, more valuable version of themselves. The harsh irony: the scariest investment is the one with the highest return. And that's why the best investment nobody talks about stays hidden. Not because it doesn't work, but because most people are too afraid to try. Imagine two lives unfolding side by side. The first belongs to Kevin. He avoids risk, avoids discomfort, avoids growth. He spends his 20s chasing fun, his 30s chasing stability, and his 40s wondering why nothing has changed. Same job, same income, same frustrations. His biggest investment was in temporary pleasures, and they left nothing behind. The second belongs to Maya. She chose differently. She invested in herself, books, mentors, online courses, public speaking clubs, late nights practicing skills no one saw. At first, it was invisible. No one clapped. No one noticed. But slowly, the compounding began. Promotions, side hustles, businesses. By 40, Maya is unrecognizable. Confident, free, financially secure. Not because she was lucky, but because she became someone who could create opportunities instead of waiting for them. Here's the secret. Once you grow into that version of yourself, no one can take it away. You can lose your job, your house, even your investments, but they can't take you. And that means you can rebuild, again and again, stronger every time. Kevin stayed the same person, so his life stayed the same. Maya became someone new, so her life transformed. This is the true compounding no one talks about. Not money doubling, but you doubling, and doubling again. The best investment isn't out there. It's in here. So here's the truth. The best investment nobody talks about isn't a stock, a coin, or a property. It's you. Every other asset can be lost. Markets crash. Companies fail. Houses burn. But the skills you master, the knowledge you gain, the person you become, those can never be taken away. And here's the harsh reality. If you don't invest in yourself, no one else will. Schools won't teach you. Jobs won't train you for freedom. Friends won't push you to grow. The responsibility is yours, and yours alone. You can spend your money on things that fade, or you can spend it on growth that compounds forever. You can stay the same person year after year, or you can build into someone who creates opportunities, commands higher income, and shapes their own future. The best investment is right in front of you. The books you haven't read, the skills you haven't learned, the mentors you haven't sought, the courage you haven't used. So ask yourself, will you keep chasing shiny things that vanish tomorrow, or will you finally invest in the only asset guaranteed to grow for life? Because the car will rust, the phone will break, the clothes will fade, but the person you become, that dividend never stops paying.